Today I'll be doing a talk about method persuasion. Well, this book we're going to be talking about because I actually showed this off in the Ask, Believe, Receive. It's a myth. For those who are watching me and you were like, what the heck is he talking about? You're not familiar with the law of attraction or the secret. I'm trying to help and inspire and uplift them into the direction of their dream and hope that it's not just enough. There are things that yes, it is true that whether you're skeptical or you're logical and from your standpoint, it is true to the point if you understand how your mind works and the universe works. But we're not going to talk about that. I say in my video that there are much more things that people never tell you in the law of attraction, that these stuff that people don't tell you influence their behavior and influence what they do, and usually they're letting their confirmation bias affect how they behave. A lot of adults have confirmation bias, which they tend to confirmation bias is basically they tend to seek information that is to their existing belief system, meaning that if someone tells them something that they don't believe, and what happened is they feel cognitive dissonance, meaning they feel unease and it's uncomfortable. What happened is they think that person is wrong, and they go seeking information that's confirming what is right to them, and they confirm it and they say, oh no, this is right, and they're wrong, but it's not. That's why a lot of people in the law of attraction use confirmation bias. They let that thing, that's why it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy when they use their mind directing and believing to be true. And when you believe things to be true, you create a self-fulfilling prophecy, a cycle where it show you in evidence that it's real, because your mind is really powerful to a sense that it influence your perception, it influence your behavior, it influence your, if you have an image of something of yourself, it actually influence what you do to day, because it also has to do with your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is really powerful. It's all the ideas and belief system when you were a kid. When you were a kid, you were programmed with a bunch of ideas that doesn't help you on the long run. And it's like society tell you schools make you successful, but it doesn't. But most people have a tape loop running in their head that school will make them successful, but it's not. So most people go out there using confirmation bias. It affects them in a way, and there's uh, reward and punishment, or reward and pain, where Tony Robbins talk about if you move towards pleasure, people move toward pleasure, and people move away toward pain. There's reciprocity, where reciprocity bias is where you I give you something of value that you cherish and value. You give me something of value because you feel like you owe me something. There's authority bias. It's like you see me as an authority. Let's say for law of attraction, or for something else, you come to me and as like celebrity has authority, right? They have influenced your judgment. That's why um, if you see a celebrity do uh, endorsement of some product, you will buy that because of that uh, uh, celebrity endorsement. There is liking and disliking bias, where you like a person, or all that. It color your lens, right? But most of all, I'm gonna be talking about our expectation influence our judgment of ourselves and other people or things. Today, I'll make it clear. Okay, so let's talk about this. What their perception? Reality is subjective, but our perception of reality is subjective. What the heck does that mean? Even though there are only one reality surrounding us, people perceive and interpret the reality differently. Essentially, our perception is the lens through which we interpret reality. If you know how to alter that lens, you can change how people view and interpret reality. We can really change our lens by changing our minds and ideas and belief system, and we can reprogram good like the ideas of successful people. We'll see and we'll act like those people that we become like. If I idolize Bob Proctor and I keep thinking like, he had the knowledge of law of attraction, I speak like him, I become like him, and I start to become I act like him, and then I start to behave like him, and then I start. And if it worked, it would change my behavior to good. But most people, their perception of the world, it limits them in a way that held them back for a long time. Meaning that if they let their perception, limited perception, because most people have limited perception, it usually hold them back, or their idea and belief about the world, they won't do anything great. So let's talk about expectation, right? The power of expectation. Similar to mindset, our expectation largely dictate our perception of the world. When we develop expectation for a certain event, our brain often molds our perception of that event to match our expectation. See what we expect to see. We hear what we expect to hear. We feel what we expect to feel. When our brains are healthy, highly expectation can lead more neural activity in the brain region associated with pleasureness. Not only can expectation mold our perception, but they also can influence our behavior. Why are expectations so powerful? Our one potential explanation lies in anchoring. Much like we adjust from anchor point towards a range of possible explanation, a 50-70% likelihood of persisting in my next book. We also seem to adjust toward a range of possible expectations. For example, when you purchase this book, it would be impossible to know exactly how good it would be, so you likely develop a range of expectation. Now, suppose before you read this book, your friend told you that it was the best book that you ever read, thereby setting an anchor point on the high end of the expectation spectrum. When you actually read the book, you might adjust downward from the anchor point until you reach the outermost point of your original point, which naturally be near the high end. On the other hand, if you receive an anchor point that was lower than your range, you may adjust upward from that anchor until you reach outermost bottom of that range. In either case, your expectation, high or low, act like an anchor point that mold your perception. Okay, let me explain this in layman's terms. I have a great example, a great story to tell you. There was Bob Proctor enter. Yeah, this. He's a young guy. He's a kid, and his name is Muhammad Ali. He was mentored by Bob Proctor, so usually I call him Bob Proctor's student because he was mentored by Bob, right? But I wanted to buy this book, right? Uh, 6 months to Six Figures, and what happened is he told me that he's not gonna tell you how to make six figures, right? And what happened is it lowered my expectation because it kind of saying this book sucked. So what happened is when I start reading it, it become suck. But in actual fact, for the author who's watching this and he's watching me read the saying it's actually great. Thank you for creating this book. But I love this book, and I wish that he didn't say that saying he won't help you get 6 figures to 6 months. He won't tell you. But in actuality, it's a great book, and you see how I mark up all in the book, and it helped me to uh, set my mindset. But you see how it influenced my judgment on the book. But the person, if he changed the wording, if he changed my expectations, said, "Oh, that's a great book," and he was usually enthusiastic about the book, and I would like read it faster. But I read it like in actuality, I read it. It's the same thing as a movie. If your friend tell you it's a great movie, you expect it to be great, and your expectation is high. And when you go with your friend, and you have a high expectation that's going to be great, so you enjoy, you feel excitement, you feel joy that it's going to be great and it's worth your while. While if your friend tell you that the movie is crap and it affect your range of your perception, how you see the movie, and when you go in to see the movie with your friend, or you decide to go, I don't know why. I mean, I do that when people tell me it's crap. So what happened is your end of that, you have expectation that is lowered. So when you go to watch a movie, it's not exciting. You expect that it's going to be crap in your mind, and you have a low expectation of that movie. Now it's the same thing as goes through people, right? If you're We all do this, and you just play back of your mind and play a mental loop, tape loop, whatever you want to call it, and see back in your life if anybody in your life. This is how people behave. This is how people make judgment of you. This is how people um, see when people tell you. Let's say you have a friend, and that you point out to this person that you should not meet them. They're bad. They're not a kind person, and they say all the negative stuff. What happened is it become an expectation of that this person's not nice. I probably wouldn't get along with this person or whatever. Your expectation of that person is negative. What happened is when you go toward that person become different in your eyes, and you act differently toward that person. Then if your friend tell your friend tell say that person is great, oh, that person is sociable, friendly. What happened is you have an expectation of that person is friendly, kind, and warm, not cold like the other person that your other friend tell. So you move toward that, and you develop an attitude of different mood around that person. What happens is you get to along with each other instead of the other person where your friend tells is negative. You see why we get it's expectation that we have, and that if we tell, and it become and it become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And nonetheless, research showed that conveying high yet believable expectation will usually lead someone to perceive an event to match those expectations. In addition to anchoring mechanism, there are a few principles that can explain why expectations are so powerful in certain situations. Confirmation bias. First, our expectation can mold our perception because of our confirmation bias, which is naturally tendency for people to seek information to confirm their belief or expectation. We feel a strong desire to conform our expectation because it feels upsetting when information disconfirm our expectation. Like most people, you probably cringe when you hear a recording of your own voice, the voice projecting from that device sound foreign. It can't possibly be your voice, but wait. Is it your distaste resulting from a poor recording device, or is your distaste resulting from your expectation? When we speak, our brain hears a voice different from the voice that other people hear. When we project our voice, the muscle that produce our speech causes a vibration that runs our neck to our brain auditory mechanism, and those vibratory internally distort our voice. Because those vibration occurs internally, other people, including voice recorders, hear your voice without distortion. Your true internal voice. Over time, you become familiar with your internal distorted voice. Now, he give you a example. Suppose that your friend Debbie is introducing you to her friend Emily. Before you meet Emily, Debbie described her as cold, standoffish, unfriendliest, friendly, which caused you to develop expectation that you won't get along with her. And upon meeting Emily, you found that your expectation is met. Her personality seemed very distant and approaching, and you can't seem to connect with her. When you when the conversation ends, you leave with no future intention of interacting with Emily again because of her unfriendly demeanor. But let's backtrack for a second. Rather than Debbie describing as cold and unapproachable, suppose that she described her as friendly, kind, and lighthearted. This describe would cause you to develop a completely different set of expectation about Emily personality. Upon meeting her with those new expectations, you instead of find that her personality is very warm, friend, and energetic. When the conversation ends, you leave with high hopes of interacting with her again. Assuming that Emily was the same person in each scenario, were those outcomes due to your perception of Emily, or were they due to Emily's actual behavior towards you? Trick question. Both your perception and Emily behavior change because of your expectation. It's like I was thinking of how can I approach this? I can't. It's like this. It become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Let's say if you expect the party to be crap, and so what happens is you mold that perception already in your mind, and you expect that let's say you're going to a party, and you expect that it's going to be crap. No one's going to talk to me. I'm not good with talking to people. I'm not good at socializing people. What happened is that end up to be true, and so what happened is your brain give you evidence to see that. But another way is this: if you tell yourself that, oh, people will enjoy my company, people, I'm good at with people, I can socialize with people, and I know that the party is going to be good. What happens is you anchor yourself um, to a set point that you're going to enjoy it, so you end up going to the party and you begin to talk to people, socialize, and you enjoy the party. It's all had to do with the mind. Most people don't understand that when they anchor themselves with an expectation to get their end results, or they're going to achieve it, they likely won't get the results unless they, contradict that. It's all have to do with the mind. The mind is the most powerful once you understand how most marketing is used to influence your behavior of repeated messages. Uh, Once you have the repeated messages, you begin to uh, feel that you need it, and so you end up buying it, and that's what ended up happening. And so I like this book, and it helped you understand that a lot of things in this world that we don't even understand. For instance, before I got into personal development, before I got into law of attraction, business and stuff like that, I didn't understand people. I didn't understand how to socialize. I didn't understand how to conversate. When I was a kid, I was shy. When I didn't know how to talk to people, I didn't know how to communicate. But once I enter or read a book on how to win friends and influence people, The Power of Charm by Brian Tracy, it teaches you how to communicate. It's just the same thing as getting a job. It's all perception. It's just planting an image of an idea of who you are. But then, people are influenced by many things, but they're influenced by their own brain. And the thing is, it's funny how that we didn't teach when we were little. We didn't teach this to the kid that if to influence people, you must be able to get them. I remember Tony Robbins said business is a game of influence or influence people. That's truly is. I'm trying to. Most people, when it comes to influence people, it's not bad. People think it's bad, but it's not. If you're influence people for the good, then you should do it. Not in a bad way. It's manipulation. Don't do it. It's bad if you do it. But when you understand people, when you take focus off yourself and you focus on the person, you deeply care about the person, you know that they're important, and you ask questions about them, and you become interested in them, they'll likely be interested in you. Don't impress the person, be impressed by the person. And you gotta listen, you gotta talk with their all those things that how to win and influence people. It's a great book, and I hope that you enjoy the book about expectation and how it influences. That's why most people set goals. Like when you say you already achieved that, it helps you to set an expectation that you're going to achieve it, so it make you uh, get results that you want. Because usually if you set a logo or set like goal, or you don't even set a goal at all, you usually have an expectation of where you're not going far. You're just like, oh, see, this is why I'm a loser, or it become a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it'll show you that you're stupid or dumb unless you change your ideas and belief, which was programmed to you by your teachers, by school, by society. They program you to think that you're nobody, you're dumb, and stuff like that. but it can change. Your perception, your ideas, it can change. If you have a limited perception, you will have a limited life. But if you expand your perception, if you expand your knowledge, you will have a abundance um, interaction, social people. You can socialize whomever you want once you understand that you need people skill. It's not always easy. I make mistakes. I tripped up sometime. It's basically when you get interacting with people, you have to relate to them. You have to remind themselves. You have to remind them of who they are, and you have to find subject that you relate in, and say, oh, you're trying to get to their subconscious level. Say, oh, that person just like me, and you bond them right away. With repetition, they get to know you, and they get to like you. And I'll see you next time. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, like my video, because I do book reviews on personal development. I also talk about law of attraction. If you're not into that, that's okay. But it's alright. I'm trying to help them. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.